Yeah, good morning, all of you. We are starting Java Stack and the transaction processing today. And the Java Stack was done in last class. We are talking about transaction processing today. Okay. Yep. See this guys carefully. Okay.
Yes, sir. Fine.
Yep. Yep. See this guys carefully. So this everyone has to know. One ABAP consultant, one BW consultant, one FICO consultant. If they don't know how one transaction is processed, it is fine for them. One basis consultant has to know this. Listen me carefully. We don't want to see anything on the system here. It is purely a theoretical concept, but you will experience all these terminologies once you join in the projects. You know, once you get any issue from any of the system, the request will be sent to ABAP dispatcher, and ABAP dispatcher will keep all the requests into dispatcher queue. So dispatcher, they have a queue, and some of the memory will be assigned from the RAM. So from different presentation systems, whether the user is using a ABAP like a SAP GUI for Windows, SAP GUI for Java, and SAP GUI for HTML. There are three different graphical user interfaces. That's all we know. And those three graphical user interfaces will send a request to application server. There, dispatcher will take a request. By default, as already we discussed, the request goes to primary application server. So any graphical user interface, whether the request is sending from a finance system, sales system, material management, production planning, logistics. So the request will be sent to dispatcher. If the request is coming from a GUI, graphical user interface, the request will be sent to dispatcher. So dispatcher will take all the requests from different people. Let us take, in your organization, we have 1,000 employees. 1,000 employees are trying to connect to the system right away. So those 1,000 requests will be sent to dispatcher, and all the requests will be waited in the queue, dispatcher queue. So from the queue, whenever the dispatcher confirms there is a work process free here, work process 1 is free, work process 2 is free, work process 3 is free, or if work process 1 is busy, the request goes to work process 2. Work process 2 is busy, the request goes to work process 3, work process 4. Like that, the minimum number of dialog work process will be 2, and the maximum number of dialog work process will be 97. The total number of work process in one application server would be 100. So by default, the request goes to the first work process. Just assume it is a fresh system and there is no workload. You are the first person you are connecting. So then obviously the request goes to first work process. So listen me carefully, guys. So Ramesh is sending a request. Ramesh is trying to execute a transaction code, and he want to see the workload of the current system. Current workload of the system he want to see. Ramesh wants to see in the production what is the current load he want to see. So in his system, he has executed a command. That command will be handled by the graphical user interface. He is giving the command means you opened SAP GUI. From GUI, he is giving the command. In SAP terminology, these commands can be called as transaction codes. T codes are transaction codes. There will be thousands of ABAP programs are developed by SAP, and it is very hard to remember those ABAP programs and very hard to execute those commands in front of the customers and in front of the customer request. So whenever the customer has requested something, the programs is a backend job, but in the front end, if you want to run the ABAP program in the backend, SAP has given a commands called transaction codes. You know, in MS-DOS, guys, MS-DOS or Linux, if you want to create a directory, mkdir, you are giving the command. The directory will be created. So in your notepad, just open your notepad, just type mkdir. The new directory will be created here.
No.
Why new directory won't be created? But MS-DOS or Linux, the directory was created, right? How it is not getting created here?
That was programmed in MS-DOS and Linux systems are different, and this was the difference.
Exactly. So that means there is a program is running in the background. Got it? Got it, guys? Even in
Yes.
SAP also, there are thousands of ABAP programs SAP has delivered. Each and every program you want to execute, there will be a code in the front end. User, it is very hard to remember the ABAP program name. That's why there are some codes delivered from SAP. Got it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Listen me carefully. So, okay, let me show you the evidence also. You will come to know how it will run. Guys, any one of you, if you don't understand anything, just stop me there itself. We'll go with the slow phase, okay? So listen me carefully, guys. These are all basics and it's mandatory for the basis consultants to know. So guys, I'm just executing a command here. See here, I'm just executing a command called su01. You will get a screen. This is the screen to create a user ID. But if you go here, see this? This is the ABAP program is getting executed in the background. SAP LS UID underscore maintenance. Okay, I'll give something else, ST03. There is a different code. Now see the program. SAP WL ST03N is the program name. Now I'll execute ST02. So these are the codes, guys. For your understanding, they simplified and they have given the code. SAP MS SY0. This is a code like this. Each and every ABAP program in SAP, there are some codes delivered. Got it? Getting all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Next. So once you execute the code, now you have seen, right? ST02 or ST03, whatever is executed, you got this screen. You got this screen means what is the meaning? The already working people, can someone explain?
It fetches the record, sir. Whether the data is there in the database, the program will run the script and the key code will fetch the records and display into the presentation layer.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? Getting, guys? Anyone else? Is there any other answers you have? What was happened now? Have you got the screen? Any other answers, guys? Ramesh or anyone?
Application contacted the database. From database, the records got fetched.
Good. So listen me, freshers especially. Very simple, guys. If I ask you something, the request is traveling from my system to your system and you are preparing some data or reply and that reply is coming to me. So it's very simple. I'm asking something. I'm asking you, what is your name? You are saying my name is Ramesh. That means you are giving the reply. The database is giving the reply. I'm asking SAP system, what is the gold rate today? I'm just logging into the portal. I'm just calling them or sending a request to pull some information. Got it? Got it, guys?
Yes, sir.
So even, okay, let us take one gold shop. So as a customer, you're logging into the system, you want to know what is the gold rate today. If you send the request, database will process your request and you will get a reply. So like this, if you have 10,000 employees or 5,000 employees, the user request will be sent from respective missions. Then it goes to application server. From application server, it goes to database. That's all we discussed already. But exactly what is happening, we are discussing now. So now let me open the document, the PPT. If you send the request from any of the graphical user interface, the request goes to ABAP dispatcher. From ABAP dispatcher, all your requests will be put it into the queue. So now in the batch, we have 12 people. So those 12 requests will wait in the queue. And based on the availability of the work process here, one by one, the request will be sent to the work process like this. Getting? In the first come, first serve basis, dispatcher will allot the work process to each and every user request until and unless user request is having a priority. All the requests will be treated as a low priority request. In the first come, first serve basis, the request will be allotted to the work process. So inside work process, what is happening is very important for us. Now, you are executed one T code in the system. The T code is ST02 or ST03. ABAP dispatcher has taken the job. It kept the request into dispatcher queue. But dispatcher queue is the temporary memory. That's it. It won't process your request. Then from there, the request goes to work process. There are multiple work process as already we discussed. So just assume work process 1 is free. Work process 1 has started processing your job. So within the work process, there is a internal memory. Internal memory, even this memory, you will get it from the role area. In the RAM, there will be a memory segment called role area or role file. The memory will be assigned to user request. That means user request is processing means what is the meaning? It is processing means we need some memory for this. So the request will wait in the internal memory. From there, task handler will take your job. Task handler will take your job. Getting, guys?
Yes.
So task handler will take your job from the dispatcher. It will assign the internal memory until the user request is completed or processed here. We need to have some free space. Okay, next, the task handler will take the job. Task handler will take the job. Some memory will be assigned. After that, there are 3 processors you have. Screen processor, ABAP processor, database processor, or database interpreter, ABAP interpreter, and database interpreter. It's very simple, guys. It's very simple. Don't treat this as very critical. It's very simple concept. Okay, so user is executed ST02. That goes to ABAP dispatcher. Dispatcher will assign some memory here. From here, work process has handled your request. Task handler has taken the job. Task handler, till now, task handler knows the user has executed one T code called ST02. So the T code should be executed and the respective ABAP program should be executed. So this is the first time user is sending a request. That means it is the initial screen should be displayed to the user. Then ABAP interpreter or database interpreter will take your job. So task handler will take a job. That code is associated with one ABAP program in the background. The code what you are executed in your system, executed in your system that is associated with one ABAP program in the background. Getting, guys?
Yes, sir.
Are you clear?
Yes.
Are you clear, all
Yes,
of
sir.
you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that ABAP program, where it will be executed, in the application server or database?
Application server.
Database.
Server.
So where the ABAP programs are located? Is it in the application server or
Application server.
database?
Application server.
Application
DB.
server.
No, the programs are located in the application server or database. What is the
Application
feeling?
Application server.
Database.
In database, we have only datas.
Okay. Okay, that's fine, guys. See, database is a container. All the programs are located there, but the execution will be done in the application server. But it has to call from the DB, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next. It's very simple, guys. Task handler has take a job. Then it has to execute one program. Guys, if someone has not connected, please listen me again. I'm just repeating. So task handler has to execute one that code as executed by the user, but the respective program should be get executed in the background. So that's what we are discussing now. But now the question is, will the database interface will take care of your job, or ABAP interface will take care of your job, or screen interpreter? So now, database interpreter will establish a communication to the DB, and the respective ABAP program will be get executed in the background. So that means the program will be called in the background. The program what user is executed, that program will be executed. The result page, the initial screen will be displayed to the user with the help of task handler. By the time to load the screen will be loaded from the database. It will be loaded into internal memory called internal memory, the role area. The screen is displayed to the user. So dispatcher takes the reply. That reply will be sent to SAP GUI. Getting, guys? Getting, all of you?
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Can you explain it once again with the flow, sir? By step 1, step 2, step 3, like that.
Okay. Okay. Next. Task handler. Okay, this is a first screen, guys. The screen what you got it is the first screen, right? Screen number 1. Getting, all of you? If I click this button, there is a different screen got it. Now what was happened? From where you got this screen? If I click this button, you are getting a different screen. From where you are getting this screen? I'm asking you guys. Anyone can answer?
Screen presenter, sir.
Okay. So now, initially, at the time of the user has executed a command, ABAP program will be get executed in the background. To get the ABAP program executed in the background, we need to have database connection. The connection will be established. For that, database interpreter will be there. Database interpreter will establish a connection, and whatever is there in the initial screen, if someone has executed a code, this is a screen should be displayed. Such a way the ABAP program will be developed. The initial screen will be loaded. So what is there in the initial screen? Some factory calendar screens, ABAP programs, tables, dictionary objects, everything will be loaded into internal memory in the work process. And that screen will be sent to dispatcher to User got the screen. Now we are in between the transaction. So now in the next screen, user has entered user entered something, some value. Okay, this is the screen. I have entered some, I've selected something here, default profile, or I've entered some number here, or anything. That means user is giving an input in the screen number 100 or screen number 2 or screen number 10 or screen number 20 or screen number 30. User is giving a input. User is giving a input in the sense, the input will be forwarded to dispatcher, and that input will be sent to task handler, probably by the same work process. If work process is busy, it goes to other work process. So that means work process 1 will take the help from other work process to process the second screen. So now there task handler will take a screen, and in the screen user has entered some values. So screen interpreter takes the values from the screen. The values will be sent to the DB, and next screen will be generated to the user. In the other screen, again, user is giving a input, or user is clicking a button. If user is giving a input, means there is a logic called PAI, process after input. There will be a logic called process after input, guys. There are 2 types of logic will be get executed here. So just take any of the real-time example, guys. Don't think it is very critical. It is very small concept or very simple concept. There are 2 types of logic will be get executed. 2 types of logic means first one PBO logic, second one PI logic. So if anyone has executed a code called ST02, you will get a same screen. So these type of transactions, PBO logic will be get executed. Process before output. Very simple, guys. If you go to the ATM, you insert the card inside, you inserted the card, and the screen, what you got it, what I got it will be same for everyone. Their PBO logic will be get executed. And the next screen, based on the input you are giving. Okay, my input is like account number or password or amount or anything. Based on the details you are giving, there will be a different screen to different customers. So there, these kind of transactions will be handled by PAI, process after input. Are you getting, guys?
Yes.
All of you, freshers especially, are you getting, guys? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of you, Bhavna?
Yes, sir.
Following.
Okay. So the next thing, guys, if user is giving some input in the screen or ABAP program, based on the input, different screen, if you want to generate, PAI logic will be get executed. And if you want to generate some generic screen, see here based on the input is defaults S4, even instance and the start profiles. If you are giving, different screen will be displayed. So here PAI logic will be get executed. So now even here, if you see whether Ramesh is clicking profile parameter, Suresh is clicking profile parameter, someone is clicking profile parameter, everyone will get the same screen. That means user input is not given here. These are all default tabs here. So their PBO logic will be get executed. As I told you just now, based on the input, if the screens are getting changed, and that means your input matters a lot. Your input will verify in the background for that, what is the screen is associated? The screen will be displayed to you. So that is PAI logic. So now, listen me carefully. So like this, if user is interacting to the DB 10 times, 20 times, 40 times within the transaction, you are in ST03 or ST02. Multiple times you are contacting the DB. Multiple times you are contacting the DB. So screen interpreter takes the values from the user and it will give us the reply. That means it goes to database. The values will be stored in the database and the reply will be displayed to you. So like this, the screen interpreter 100 times also, screen interpreter will take care of your job. And what is ABAP interpreter? ABAP interpreter is the container or processor. This interprets your ABAP program. Initially, when user is executing something, our screen interpreter will take care of your job, but it collects the values what user has entered in the screen. But ABAP interpreter only will take those values and it will be stored exactly in the associated containers in the backend. So user tab, when you are creating a user, in the user tab, you are giving, yes, Ramesh user ID. I'm just trying to create Ramesh user. Just take this, SU01. So I'm giving Ramesh user ID here. In the next screen, I'm assigning password, profiles, and there are a lot of things I'm giving. All these things will be stored in the backend in the respective tables. In the username table, username will be stored. Password table, passwords will be stored. And the profiles tab, profiles will be stored. If the structure is not aligned properly, just assume in the username tab, password is stored, password tab, username is stored. And tomorrow when you are calling someone, it is very difficult for you. Are you getting, guys? That means whatever the structure you may see on the screen, even in the backend, the similar structure should work. Then only tomorrow you can call all these details. Are you getting, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, next. So here, these kind of interactions to the DB will be handled by database interpreter. Just database interpreter will establish a communication to the DB. But to execute that ABAP program, database interpreter will take the help from ABAP interpreter. The program will be get executed. And from the second screen interpreter collects the values. It takes the help from ABAP interpreter to execute those values or interpret those values. So then you will get a next screen like this. If you have 100 screens also, task handler will take a job. It will first initially the database interpreter will establish a connection to the DB. After that, either screen interpreter or ABAP interpreter will take care of the jobs. And once the request is completed, user committed the transaction, then task handler will update to dispatcher, job is done. Dispatcher will free the memory in the request queue and the work process. The work process will be free to take up another jobs right from now. Getting, guys? Are you getting, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? So far, any questions, guys? All of you? So far, any questions? If you don't have any questions, I'll take it forward.
Yes, sir, you can, sir.
Okay. Next. So as already we discussed, guys, again, the same transaction code, you can take it. The user has executed a ST02 transaction. dialog work process 0 has taken a job and you got the screen from the DB. That is the first screen you got it. Just assume the screen number is 100. PBO logic has executed. That means this is the initial screen. User input is not mandatory here. So everyone will get a same screen here. You got the screen number 100. You got the screen number 100. And in the screen number 100, just assume the same SU01 T code only. In the screen, you are giving username as Ramesh, password as ABC123, and clicked on submit. Again, that goes to dispatcher to work process. If W0 is busy, then it goes to dispatcher work process 1. If work process 1 is busy, it goes to work process 2. Work process 2 will take your job, and PAI logic will be get executed. That means in the screen number 100, whatever the values you have entered, username as Ramesh, password as something you entered, PAI logic will be executed. It collects all the values here. Dialog work process 2 will collect all the values what user has entered. That values will be sent to DB. So then database, it will be stored and you will get a next screen, whether screen number 101 or screen number 102, screen number 103, it will be executed. That means to generate the screen number 101 or 102, there is another logic will be executed called PBO. Then next screen will be displayed to you. In that screen, if you give some input, PI logic will be get executed. To display a different screen, PBO logic will be get executed. This is how the request will be processed with the help of PAI and PBO. And this can be called as work process multiplexing. One work process won't take the complete job, and if 100 screens user is executing, 100 screens will be handled by 100 work process. That means one user request will be handled by multiple work process. One screen what user is executing will be called by the different work process. So this can be called as multiplexing. Getting all of you? Any questions, guys? Are you clear with the concept? How one user request is processed, we discuss now.
Yes, sir.
You are clear, all of you? Hope you are clear, all of you. Again and
Yes, sir.
again, I am asking
sir.
you,
Yes, yes.
you can understand how much important is this. Okay, tomorrow while working with the troubleshooting, all this terminology you should know. What is PI? In the error message, you will get PI logic erroneous, written code 105, written code 247, like that you will get it. If you don't know what is PI, then you cannot able to fix this issue. Especially for the support projects, this is mandatory. Next, guys. So as already we discussed, one screen user is calling, the first screen user is calling, screen number 1 is generated, screen number 2 is generated, screen number 100 is generated. One dialog work process has contacted the DB and database has prepared a reply, and the reply has sent to the user. Now one DB transaction is completed. That means to generate one screen in the DB, one DB transaction will be called. That means if one screen 100 times, if you are contacting DB, we can call this as 100 DB transactions, but an ABAP transaction or SAP transaction will be only one. ABAP transaction and SAP transactions will be only one. Getting all of you? So, how many times user is contacting DB? That many times we can say, database is interacting to the user. Those are all the DB transactions. And once the user commits the transaction, is out of the screen, that can be called as a ABAP transaction. So in one transaction, in one ABAP transaction, You may have 1 DB transaction, 10 DB transaction, 100 DB transactions. That we don't know. That we don't know. Getting all of you?
Yes, sir.